So I just want to start by quoting someone who I spoke with in West Virginia, who's in my documentary, who...
The Hard Road to Hope.
Yes. So each state has their own version of the EPA. It's usually the Department of Environmental Protection or something like that. And so in West Virginia, it's called the DEP, the Department of Environmental Protection. And she said that basically what everyone calls it there is the don't expect protection. And I feel like that is the overarching theme of this article. So this is by the rad folks over at Prism Reports. They do amazing journalism. So I just want to let you know, in case you were unaware, the EPA doesn't do shit, and they don't care about you. Sorry if that was a spoiler alert.
Well, I think if everyone didn't know it before that, they learned it with Flint, Michigan.
Right.
They were like, oh, it's been years of tainted water, and EPA ain't done shit.
So apparently it's been like 2 decades since the EPA has known about the presence of forever chemicals, PFAS, PFAs, whatever, however people are abbreviating that acronym. But basically...
Thank God for that acronym, because I can't say the actual word.
Polyfluoral...
Did you just choke on your own tongue?
Who knew this is a dumb word? There's too many consonants. Polyfluoral...
I tried to get you out of it by saying we were going to stick with the acronym, and then you had to dive right in anyway.
Polyfluoroalkyl. That thing, substances, is what that stands for. You know what? Go read the article, and then you will be able to see the word, and you try to say it. So they've known about this for years. Basically, the 2 decades worth of the EPA's contaminant candidate lists, monitoring programs, and a lack of legislation as it allowed for inadequate treatment facilities, show that the decision to leave the public vulnerable to these forever chemicals was not made just once. It was a choice that was made over and over again at the expense of the very people that the EPA and public water facilities are supposed to protect. I'm shocked.
Well, and what this really is, and it's not just about this topic, it's about everything, every reason the EPA sucks, is these agencies have been captured, and they've almost all been captured by big business. And this is how capitalism works. The businesses get large enough that they realize that they're more easily able to exploit us, to exploit the environment, to profit off the environment if there is little to no regulation. So yeah, it looks good for them to not get rid of the EPA. They just capture it so that it doesn't actually affect their bottom line.
The thing. Yeah. So for instance, if folks aren't familiar with what PFAS do, basically this doctor says it's a bioaccumulative chemical, meaning it does not break down in the body. Whatever you're drinking is remaining in your body. It's not getting out. So it follows that the more PFAS you drink, i.e. the more that are in the water over the longer period of time, the greater the damage they are able to inflict, including deadly cancers, liver and heart damage, immune and developmental impacts on children. And they've done a lot of studies, and they've shown that like PFAS are in breast milk. They're in newborn children who obviously are only getting it through the mother. So and they'll never leave. Like they're in those newborn children until that child dies. So it's like it's in everything. And the EPA has known about it for 20 years.
I covered this story a few months back that activist group put forward a list of 1,000 new chemicals that EPA needs to add to their list, but they haven't updated it in like 20 years.
Well, so the thing is that the EPA has like this, it's called the contaminant candidate list, which is published every 5 years. And as the name suggests, these are candidates to put on their lists that they actually regulate. It made the list in 2009 and then relisted them in 2016 and 2022, but chose not to regulate them. The EPA did not respond for a comment for this article. I'm shocked.
No True Flag says Trump will fix it.
Exactly. The other thing is that, like, follow the money here, right? So the contradictions between a public health goal of 0, which is how much PFAS you want in your water, 0, and a maximum contaminant level of 4 parts per trillion, which is what it is, exist because of how much weight the agency places on cost efficiency. Here we go. The standard is ascertained by practicality and cost rather than concern for the public. So if you look at the EPA primary water drinking standards or drinking water standards, there are a lot of things that are listed at like, oh, this should be 0, but they up that to like, 4 parts or whatever based on what they think can get done with the money. Right. So he says the EPA is not going to set a level that would bankrupt every water treatment plant in the country, because in order to get rid of PFAS, they would all need to install $5 million worth of treatment. And there's no money to do that. $5 million, that sounds like a lot, right? But I don't know how many water treatment facilities there are in the country.
A lot.
I'm guaranteeing, though, that $5 million for each one of those is still a drop in the bucket, no pun intended, compared to our military spending. So you could literally eradicate the forever chemicals from the water that we're all drinking for a drop in the bucket of the defense budget. But again, and rich people have the ability to, get like the maximum filtration and the whatever the hell. So they don't feel that they have to worry about it. Of course, they're still getting hit with PFAS and rain and but
before you get too far off it, the perfect segue for 1 second about the we'll drop in the bucket of the Pentagon budget. Stephen Simler's posting that House Republicans have just put forward the DOGE Act. You've probably heard about this. They want to create a new committee called the Department of Government Efficiency. The bill that supposedly Elon Musk is going to head, and they're going to make our government more efficient by cutting things away. Well, the bill cuts non-military spending by $114 billion. They shrink programs for energy, climate, health, transportation, veterans, education, economy, and more. How much do they take from the Pentagon? $0. So the $1 trillion, 55% of all discretionary spending, they do not cut that at all, but they're putting forward a bill to cut $114 billion from essentially everything else. Unless you are murdering children with this money.
I honestly do wonder, sometimes I just get struck with what the these people actually think that they're doing.
They want to profit more, and they get more profit when less of their taxes is taken for a social safety net, and they want to do that, cut their taxes by cutting out all of these departments.
But okay. I'm just...
Also, there are those that, like, as I was talking about the history of healthcare the other day, there are those who believe that if you cut away the social safety net, then the people they dislike, such as Black people and poor people in general, will die off more easily because they won't have the safety nets.
I mean, that's true.
Yeah, so that's part of their plan as well.
Anyway, so just wrapping up the PFAS that, are all swimming in our bodies right now. Back in 2013, the EPA had already finished its health studies for forever chemicals, which came to the conclusion that consumption of these chemicals causes adverse health effects. Those were not even the first studies, though. There were studies all the way back in 2005 and in 2009 that showed that when PFAS are consumed through drinking water, it's bioaccumulative, meaning it stays in our bodies and builds up over time. So again, they've known about it for 20 years and they've done fuck all. Like this is the EPA, as Lee pointed out, it's a captured agency. But it also speaks to why, don't expect protection. These agencies are not here for us, and they've done cost analysis, just like other places do cost analysis, like how many people can die before it starts getting dangerous for us, or how much does it cost. They've actually figured out what they call the value of a human life. Yeah. So they do these cost analyses and it never comes out on our side. So we have to find other ways of protecting ourselves from things like this.
Very true. In our community, joining up, uniting, and fighting to have a safer, cleaner community.